Genshin Impact is a game that I've spent more time than I like to admit on. So when a new region was announced, I was pretty hyped like most Genshin players. And with 3.1 right around the corner, I feel like now is a better time than ever to talk about my thoughts on the new region, the Dendro element, the new Archon quest, and my theories for 3.1. Now, for the main Archon quest, there will be slight spoilers in this. I won't dive into it too much because I'm sure some people want to play the quest for themselves. So with that being said, it feels really good to get actual Archon main story content for the game. It feels like it's been so long since there's been any form of Archon quest at all, and as someone who wants to continue the main story, it just feels really nice to have the new region unlocked with more stuff progressing towards the traveler's goal. It's also really nice to see all the new characters and to see all the new long awaited characters that have been like in the manga that people have been anticipated for so long, and all the new characters are very cool looking, I must say. And it's not even just the soon-to-be playable characters either. In my opinion, this main Archon quest showed us one of the most interesting and well-made stories of an NPC, Dunrazard, or however you say her name. Like, I love my boy Tepe and everything, but in terms of story enjoyment and all that, I think Dunrazard is probably the most interesting NPC character we've gotten in an Archon quest. And there's also a lot of questions that come up after the Archon quest, for me at least. I don't know if maybe I just forgot about some stuff, but like a few things that I'm looking forward to seeing is I'm looking forward to see Kusanali or Nahida do stuff like show off her powers and actually fight and stuff, and I'm interested to see about the academia and that burning tree at the beginning, I forget its name. And with all the questions, we also got a very big question answered involving Catherine, and this is where the spoiler warning kind of comes back up again, but yeah, Catherine is in fact a puppet from Snezhnaya, and we now know that in the Harbingers, there is a Harbinger who makes puppets and controls puppets. So, yeah, it's interesting to have that revealed, and I'm interested to see how Catherine plays a role going forward in the greater story as well. And now I guess for the final point in the main Archon quest is probably what people are most talking about. That last part with the time loop that kept repeating. I know a lot of people don't really like that part because it got repetitive and it took forever. And I've heard that you can't actually leave that quest once you start it. I don't know, I was able to finish that one part in one sitting without having to stop. I was able to put away some time without worrying about like my real world problems to be able to get that done. But I do agree. I do think the fact that you couldn't leave the quest is actually pretty inconvenient, especially if like you have time restraints or you were trying to get it done and ended up having to ruin your sleep schedule in order to complete it. But overall, that's really the only thing I have to say negative about the main Archon quest, and I didn't even really have to experience it, but I get if other players had to experience that, they probably wouldn't be too happy about being locked into a certain quest and having to see it all through until the end. But overall, I think this was a nice continuation to the Genshin story, and I'm looking forward to 3.1, to which I'm assuming is the conclusion. I don't know. I know there was a prologue in Inazuma and then 3 chapters. So there was no prologue in Sumeru, I don't think. But maybe there'll be 4 chapters, I don't know. But either way, I'm looking forward to the continuation of the story in 3.1. And now for everyone's favorite addition to Sumeru, the Aranara quest is something that I wish to talk about. Now, I have not yet finished all of the Aranara quests due to the sheer amount of events that are in this current version of Genshin. I've been wanting to get those done. But from what I've heard, they are very long, very time consuming, and I am aware that you have to complete a majority of them, if not all of them, to unlock parts of your map. And what do I think of that? I'm not really sure. I mean, I know we've had to do world quests in order to unlock certain parts of the map, like the chasm, and we were able to do it, but I don't think they were as long as this. I'm not 100% sure. What I have experienced of the Aranara quest, I've did the first part with Rana when you save her, and then she gets trapped, and then I've done a little bit of the second part where you walk around looking for the Aranara so they can do like a festival. And from after the Rana part, I was getting tired of like reading all of it. I do think that it would probably have been better having a quest line of this magnitude and this important for the players to complete to be voiced, but then again, it is a world quest, and world quests aren't typically voiced, so I mean, I'm sure some people read it. I read some of it here and there, and then other times I'm just mashing the X button or the mouse button or whatever I'm using to click through the dialogue. And I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know if I'm going to consume the whole story, but I guess we'll see. It's something to do, I guess, at least. I mean, it's more stuff to play through, and I mean, you get primo gems from completing the quest, so I guess it's not entirely bad, you know? I've always thought it was pretty weird that the Dendro element wasn't included in the original launch of the game with all the other elements, but it's here now, and I actually think it's a pretty nice addition to the game. I could go over the reactions, but I feel like I'll just be reading off the wiki if I do so. So the short of it is, Electro and Dendro gives Quicken, Dendro and Pyro gives Burning, and Dendro and Hydro gives Bloom. And in my opinion, I think Bloom is probably the best one. I think the Dendro cores are very useful in doing damage, and now when it rains, Dendro slimes just constantly shoot those out, so that's also a little interesting thing to see when you're walking around. But with the new Dendro element, there has to be characters that use that element, and starting off with our first 5-star Dendro character, we have Mr. Tainari himself. Now, out of all the new characters that are playable, and maybe even the ones we meet, he's kind of the least interesting story-wise, but he seems to be a pretty powerful character, especially for a bow user. He seems to have a lot of good damage output with like the little blooms that come out in his charge shot. I did not pull for him though. I put all my eggs in the Geodaddy basket. However, I'm not exactly too pressed about getting him because he will be on the standard banner, and I'm sure I'll be acquiring him when I lose my 50/50s. So, and since he's pretty good, I mean, it's not that bad, so I'm sure I'll be getting him pretty soon. Also, his ears are fantastic. Next is Kale. On the opposite spectrum of Tainari, she's actually one of the most interesting characters. Now, if you've read the manga, you probably know about all her backstory and her disease and how she was captured by Dottore, so I won't dive into that much to avoid spoilers and to not say what people already say for those who have read the manga. Now, she is a 4-star character, another bow user, but I think she benefits a lot from being the only Dendro character, and Dendro being a relatively new element, her burst is very good. It's basically just repeated Dendro damage in a small little area. However, it is still a bit too early to see how good she'll be after more Dendro characters get added. I'm interested to see if she'll fall victim to power creep, but as of now, she's a pretty good Dendro character to add to your party if you want a Dendro comp and haven't gotten Tainari yet, especially if you want like a Bloom type of comp. She's pretty good with that, especially since her burst is area damage that lingers for a while. And the last new addition is Dory, an Electro character. She uses a Claymore and she's a Electro healer type of character. Now I do have Dory, but I haven't exactly gone too in-depth with her. But from what I've seen from her in the story, I gotta be honest, I absolutely love her design. I think she's really funny in the story. Her greed knows no bounds. And I absolutely love her animations. I think they are some of the best in the game. The idle animations and the attacking animations, how she uses the genie, is just so nice looking and very different from all other characters. And she's a 4-star too, and a 4-star having such good animations is actually pretty rare in most of the characters. And she also has one of the best Japanese voice lines ever. But yeah, like I said, I don't know too much about her gameplay-wise. I haven't really dived into her or seen much on her. But in terms of just her character and like her design and stuff, I think she is a wonderful character. And now for the fun part, 3.1 predictions. So it's pretty clear that the desert will most likely be opening up to us for us to explore. That'll probably be the new area unlocked in 3.1. And with that, we'll probably get a bunch of lore on the Emirites and the Scarlet King and probably Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, you can assume. That will be revealed in time, I'm sure. But the biggest thing in the 3.1 trailer that we can see is Kusanali or Nahida. I know her name will probably be Nahida when she's playable. I'm still used to calling her Kusanali. I'll probably be switching off, so just bear with me. I think that Kusanali in the trailer clearly gets stabbed in the back. Now, she has taken over Catherine, who we now know is not human. So Catherine did not die. She is a puppet, so that is not a person being killed. But the question that remains is, since Kusanali's conscience is in the Catherine puppet, is the Catherine puppet being stabbed equivalent to Kusanali being stabbed? And if so, will Kusanali be dead from that stab? And from the trailer, we can see that the reason the people are chasing after Kusanali is because of something that Dottore has done to the citizens of Sumeru. He either revealed that Kusanali is in the Catherine doll and turned all them against her, or he has brainwashed them to do his bidding. However, even though Dottore does seem to be playing a role in the next 3.1 part of Sumeru, I do think he will only be an appearance. I do not think there will be a boss fight including Dottore. I think whatever is wrong with the citizens in Sumeru, we will solve that problem, and during the chaos, Dottore will sneak away and we will have to deal with him in another region, maybe Fontaine. However, there will maybe be a boss fight in 3.1, I think, and I think it will be against Scaramouche. Now, in the trailer, it seems that Scaramouche has fused with the Gnosis. At least that's what I believe be the reason for the big robot that he is in. I'm not sure what would cause the fight to initiate between the Traveler and Scaramouche, but I just feel it'll most likely be against Scaramouche if there is to be a new boss fight in the next update. And as for if Scaramouche will die at the end of the fight, I don't know. I remember I was pretty shocked when Sigiora died, so I'm not 100% sure if Scaramouche will survive at the end of the fight or if this will be the end of Scaramouche. And I know he's kind of a fan favorite, so if he does die, I'm interested to see what the fan perception will be of witnessing that. And now for crazy off-the-wall long shot theories on this one. So this is a theory that will most likely not happen, but just to put something like crazy out there, I think this is the chapter that the Archons finally meet and interact with each other. So how I think a scenario like this would happen is if the stabbing of the Catherine puppet actually affects Kusanali right before the killing blow happens. All three of the Archons will show up to save Kusanali before she dies, and that is how the problem in Sumeru will be resolved, by the Archons actually doing something. It won't actually be the Traveler. The Traveler might indirectly be able to save the people of Sumeru, but I think in order for Kusanali to be saved, all three of the Archons that we know of right now, Shogun, Venti, and Zhongli, will appear to rescue Kusanali. And just imagine how cool the cutscene could be for it. Like, imagine Venti's just drinking at the bar, and then he like senses that something's wrong, and he runs out, and then Zhongli is like at his little normal drinking spot listening to the story, and then he also senses something wrong, and he runs away to a secluded location so they can fly off to Sumeru. And then Shogun, since everyone knows that Shogun is the Archon herself, you just get a shot of like Tenshukaku and then this huge light of like purple lightning as she jets out over there. Like, just imagine how cool that would be, just seeing all of them like rush over there to save Kusanali and then all of them appearing at once to rescue her. That just sounds like it'd be really cool. Again, a long shot, but it'd be cool to see. And for the last outlandish out there theory, the Archon from Fontaine makes an appearance. Now, how this could work, this will most likely only happen if Kusanali does die, because usually at the end of every arc, there is someone who gives you information about the next region. I think most likely it'll be Kusanali giving you this information, but if she does die, I think the Archon from Fontaine will be there alongside the other Archons if that does happen, and the Fontaine Archon will be the one to give you information on the next region. And with that about does it for everything I have to say about Sumeru and my predictions for 3.1. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Sumeru and Dendro and the new characters and what your predictions are for 3.1. And thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far into the video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. They've also added these cool voice lines that you hear when you're in co-op and your character gets low, which is pretty cool. Isn't that right, Zhao?
Weak.
That's right, thank you.